Hi, I'm Addie, and this is another episode of Nature Notes. So today I'm going to be talking about a kind of interesting difference. So the difference between ravens and crows. A lot of people ask this, and it's kind of hard to tell the difference, but it's easy if you know what you're looking for. So American crows and ravens share the same range. So on these maps, the blue area is the common range of these animals. On the right, we have the range of the common raven, so pretty ranges across most of the United States on this side. The crow is a lot more widespread, so they do overlap. In Wisconsin, however, the American crow is a lot more common than the raven, but we do have ravens and crows overlapping, so you might see them in the same area. One of the major differences between ravens and crows would be their size. So on the top here we have a raven, and on the bottom we have a crow. Pretty big size difference, but when are you really going to see a raven and a crow right next to each other? So, compared to other birds, like this red-tailed hawk, the crow is very small. The raven, on the other hand, is almost the same size as a red-tailed hawk. Pretty big birds. Another way you can tell the difference between a raven and a crow in flight would be their feather fingers. Now, ravens and crows don't actually have fingers. It's just a term for their flight feathers. So on a raven, you can see 5 distinct feathers. So if you can count them, if they're not flying too fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On a crow, they have 4 distinct fingers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Another way you can tell the difference is their tails. So a raven has more of a wedge-shaped tail in flight, and a crow has kind of like a fan-shaped tail. So if you think of those Chinese fans, big tail. Another way would be the grouping. So when you see a group of crows, you probably recognize this photo, a whole bunch of crows sitting up in a tree. Crows are family-oriented. So a family of crows will stay together for most of their life. So it'll be the parents, the siblings from that year, and the young babies from that same year, all staying together. Ravens, on the other hand, are pretty solitary. You could probably see 1 or 2 ravens together, or it'll be a raven family group, so the 2 adults and their children from that year. If you can get close enough to a raven or a crow, there are some pretty different facial features that you can see. So on the raven, their bills are broader, and they have more of these feathers covering their bill, and thicker feathers. On a crow, their beaks are very small, they're not as strong, and their features are more smoothed, I like to think. So on the raven, they have more of a hackly feather look, and on the crow, it's very smooth. Here's a better picture of those hackles on the raven. So, kind of like a little beard. So another way to tell the difference between a raven and a crow if you have them on the ground, if they're calling, would be the call. So up here we have our raven. I'll play that call first. It's kind of like rock, rock. So that's how I like to tell the difference. If it goes rock, rock, it's a raven. If it goes, it's a crow. So I'll play those again one more time so you can kind of hear the difference again. Here's the raven. And there's the crow. Ooh. Alright, so some similarities between these 2 species is they are both part of the family Corvidae, which means they are corvids, which means they are in the crow family. So ravens, crows, blue jays, jackdaws, birds like that are all in the same family. And they are both extremely intelligent. They're considered one of the most intelligent species of birds. So ravens have been known to work with wolves in certain areas. Ravens are extremely intelligent. They can mimic noises, and they have been shown to call wolves into frozen carcasses. So a carcass is a dead animal. Ravens are scavenger birds, which means they eat dead animals and things they find. They can call over a pack of wolves to a frozen carcass. Because their beaks aren't really strong enough to break through that frozen carcass, the wolves will open it up for them. Pretty smart. There was a study done with crows another influence of their intelligence with masks. So, it was a study done a few years ago, and these researchers decided they were going to see if crows could recognize human faces. And what they found out was pretty interesting, that crows can in fact recognize human faces. How they did this was, some researchers put on some masks. In this picture, it's kind of a creepy mask. I would be afraid of that. What they did is they went to a nest of crows and they banded the babies. So a lot of bird researchers band baby crows or birds in general. It's just a silver bracelet that they put around their wrist, and it has an identifiable number on it. And it can be kind of a stressful experience for a baby bird because the researchers climbing up to your nest, they're putting a weird bracelet on you, your parents are freaking out. Kind of scary. So the adult crows would actually be dive bombing these researchers. If you've ever been mobbed by a group of birds, mobbing is an activity where birds are defending their territory from a predator. So groups of crows will do this to threats. So they were mobbing these scientists because they didn't want them around their areas. What happened was, the next year, the babies from that first experiment mobbed the scientists as well. And that's not where it gets cool. So the year after that, where the babies that had originally been banded had children, the children of those crows attacked the scientists as well. So that means that they were teaching the next generation to fear people wearing that mask, which is generational learning, which is pretty amazing. So those are the main differences between ravens and crows in kind of a small nutshell. If you want to do more research, the Audubon online is a really great resource for you. Thank you very much.